I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time. Hello, ladies, and welcome to Women Awakening. I am your host, Cynthia James, and I get the honor of introducing you to extraordinary women that are change makers, that are dedicated to bringing their gifts to the planet, and they are way showers. So what I get to show to you are women that are saying, I'm just a possibility. You are a divine expression that gets to come on this planet and bring your gifts in powerful ways. So my guest today, I have known for quite some time, and I'm excited to introduce you to her, Dr. Linda Backman, psychologist, researcher, author, hypnotic regression therapist. She has been in private practice for over 40 years. Through hypnotic regression, she's guided thousands of clients to access their past lives and the time between lives, of which I've had that experience, helping them to surface and understand the challenges of their souls, which are repeated lifetime after lifetime. Dr. Backman regularly conducts training courses on past love and life and between lives regression. This is what's important. She is convinced that our collective healing has an impact on the evolution of humanity and the unity of all peoples. She has made the understanding of the soul her priority. Linda, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, Cynthia, it's my great pleasure to be with you.
Well, I'm excited to introduce you to people. So, y'all, many years ago, I was struggling with something, and I read a book by Dr. Newton called Destiny of Souls. And I'm like, I wonder if anybody else does this work. And so I popped up that Linda in Colorado did this work. And I was struggling with something that I didn't understand. And doing a session with her was so incredible. And it actually showed me how someone had been in my life in other lifetimes, and it was the same pattern repeating, and I got to choose differently. It was exquisite. So Linda, first of all, let's talk a little bit about where you come from. You know, you didn't probably come on the planet and go, well, I'm going to be working with people with past lives when I'm 5 years old. So tell us a little bit about your history.
Well, I won't give you my whole life history. That'd be much too long. But my history, I often say to clients that I come into contact with kind of two types of people. And by that, I mean, there are probably some of you listening to this who will say, well, I knew I'd had past lives when I was 7, or I knew I had a guide or guidance when I was 8 or 10, or that sort of thing. And others of you, and this is my story, fell into this understanding of soul. We plan our lives, we have past lives, we have guides, fell into this well into our adult years. So my story, Cynthia, if I try to put it in a nutshell, is it's 1993. I'm in my middle 40s. I always say I'm minding my own business as a conventional psychologist, thinking that's what I'm going to do the rest of my working life. And sadly, but profoundly, I have a colleague die. My original psychologist colleague passed at the age of 32. And within a day or two of his physical death, or, now we'd say passing or transition, he starts talking to me from the other side, and he begins to show me past lives that we've shared. I think that's combination. I think that's utterly intriguing and provocative and fascinating. And I think it's kind of weird. So just one more quick piece of the story, because I know this was planned at the soul level. So I've already been married to my beloved husband, with whom I've been with for a long, long time, which is a great blessing. And I've already been married to my husband about 25 years. We're both pretty liberal, broad thinking people. We've never talked about reincarnation at all. Who knows why? And so I asked my husband, Earl, to sit down. I explained to him what I'm sensing. He knew my colleague quite well. And I tell him what I'm experiencing. And my husband, Earl, looks back at me very calmly and says, well, okay, fine. And I said, what do you mean, okay, fine? Don't you think this is strange? And Earl says, no, I don't think it's strange. And I say, why? Earl says, only now do I remember something I guess I blocked out from my childhood. Earl says, when I was 10, I started spontaneously remembering my past lives. I knew them in detail. I knew they were real. And then I just pushed it away because I thought everyone would think I was crazy. So, wonderfully so, Earl says, go study this. And that's what led me into this type of work.
Wow. Well, you know what I love about that is that it happened to you in a mystical realm. It happened to you in a way you weren't looking for it. You weren't trying to study it. All of a sudden, something opened and this information came through. And I guess that's what I want to say to women listening to this. There may be things you don't understand, maybe things you don't know about, but in a moment, you can open and the universe can pour in and give you information and guidance on your path. So Linda, I just want to talk a little bit about, do people come to you? Does everybody that comes to you, are they like all in, or are there any skeptics? I mean, how does this work for you? Or do people just come because they're ready?
Well, I would say at the soul level, they come because they're ready. Um, no one comes, Cynthia, who's a complete skeptic, because bottom line is they wouldn't spend their time or their funds on that. But people come at different levels of readiness or awareness. But one of the things I always say to clients come with questions, and usually the regression answers the questions they're seeking to understand. But I always say to the client, be prepared. And I don't mean like, oh my goodness, be prepared, but be prepared because you're going to learn things about your life, you as a soul, why you're here, who you've known before, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to learn things you've never even considered learning that will help move you forward on your evolutionary path.
Yeah, that is so true. I remember in my session with you, that there were a group of people that we all converged at a place at the same time within a year or so. And in my reading, it talked about soul groups, and that was incredible for me. So I want to know, when you had your first reading, how was that for you? I mean, was it revelatory?
It's interesting you're asking that. And, I want to be sure people understand who are listening that reading means I'm the bus driver, but not the itinerary chooser, if you will. And the reading means that you, as the client, with my support, are using your own intuition to read, if you will, your own information. And that's kind of how that works. It's hard for me to remember a lot about what came forward for me in my first or second regression where I'm the client, except there's one piece that always sticks with me. And I remember imaging myself like eyes closed, the client is simply relaxed. And I remember there were these multicolored, what looked like almost like filaments. And there were these multicolored, like rainbow colored filaments that I'm weaving together. And I'm asking then, usually a guide shows up in this kind of work. I'm saying to a guide, or the guide is saying to me, whichever it was, um, the purpose of weaving these filaments is weaving the connection between Earth, our incarnate self, to our higher self and the higher realm. That apparently that was part of my intention, which certainly I didn't know until I fell into this work, is to weave that energetic, filament together.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. And that is what you do, and on a lot of different levels. And I was grateful to have been one of the people in your classes, to see all the people around the world that are interested in what you're teaching. And I guess the thing I would like to ask is, for people who are in one of those categories you mentioned, where's a place for them to start when they're getting an inkling about a past life, but they don't really know what to do and they don't want to seem crazy to their family or friends? Where do they start?
I guess I'd suggest a couple of possibilities. One place to start is to do some reading. And of course, I would suggest my books because they're filled with client material. So they're sort of like catalysts that kind of tantalize you and help get you started on that journey. Another place to start would basically be to have the shorter regression. I guide two types of regression. One is much shorter, and it's past life discovery only, you might say. And the other is longer and past life discovery and then work at the soul level. To start with the shorter regression, and honestly, then there's one other suggestion that pops into my mind, and that is for people to develop or strengthen or spend more time with their ongoing spiritual practice. So then people say, well, okay, Linda, so what is a spiritual practice? And then I kind of say, well, how long do you have? So, people automatically think spiritual practice. I need to learn Eastern, sitting, silent, almost not moving meditation. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's great. But, spiritual practice, as you certainly know, Cynthia, is essential oils, a mantra, nature, staring into the flame of a candle, any kind of prayer, and you name it. If it connects you, we might say, to a higher frequency, or you're just intending but you don't yet know if it's connecting you, use a regular spiritual tarot cards. Another good avenue. Any kind of tarot type deck.
Yeah. I guess what I want to say to anyone listening is that we are all spiritual beings, and we have all come with, what I call extraordinary souls that we've all come to express, and everybody's path is different, and everybody's portals are different to that awareness. But what Linda is talking about is that, for me, it starts at the spiritual practice to open, and then you get to explore. And those of you that are researchers, I mean, this will be fabulous for you, because whether you are reading Linda's books or working with her or however you're researching, it opens you up. And when the universe knows that, it starts pouring in information. So if you're curious, I say activate it and go forward, right?
Yeah, and Cynthia, if I can add one more quick thing, and that's about intuition. So what happens, and this was me years ago, oh no, I'm not intuitive. I know I'm not. That's a famous medium, or that's, whoever it is. Not true. We're all intuitive, but we're never taught, unless we take a course in it. We're not taught by, in school or any other way, how to tap into and trust our intuition. So just as a quick kind of thumbnail sketch, and I do teach about this, but some people think, or many people think, that intuition has to be eyes closed, clairvoyance, images in your mind. Some of us are visual with our intuition, but some of us are not. So everybody think about, some of us are very heart-centered. We're very emotion-centered. So trust your emotional intuition. Like suddenly you have a feeling, you don't know where it's coming from, you think it's yours. It might be someone you know well, that you're connected to. And there, sometimes I can pick up on my adult daughter's feelings. um and so, but emotion is one way to get into intuition. Body sensation is another. A sudden headache, a sudden stomach ache, that could be, there's an earthquake somewhere else on the planet, or we're picking up on past life memory in our bodies. Lastly, and really important, and I'm very much this way, and a lot of us are, is mental or cognitive intuition. We get words, phrases, a name of somebody over and over. That means reach out to that person and see how they're doing, but trust your cognitive left brain. It's also an intuitive receiver.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I hope everybody's listening and wrote this down. If not, back up the tape and listen again, because yes, there's no one way to access your intuition, mind, body, emotions. I mean, there's a lot of different ways. And so your way may not look like Mary Lou's or Tom's, but it's yours. And once you get that and you learn that language, oh my gosh, then you can surrender to the guidance in ways that you not didn't know before.
Yeah.
So when a client comes to you, what do they do to prepare?
Hmm. Well, what do they do to prepare? Keep using their spiritual practice. Um, Trust. Trust is a huge part of this. Trust that you're going to receive what what you wish to receive. In other words, trust. We all have spiritual guides or guardian angels. Call them what you want. We all have a support team in the higher realm. That also includes our own soul self or our higher self. And probably everybody knows this, but when we're alive in body, and that means a slice of my soul causes me to be alive, a slice of Cynthia's soul causes her to be alive, the remainder of our soul is in the divine realm, the higher realm. That's our higher self. That's also one of our guides.
Yeah.
So preparing, there's no fancy preparing that anyone needs to do. It's trust that you're going to learn in the regression what your guides think you need. And I'll just add in another piece because I keep getting these little downloads, and I'm sure they're probably coming from my guides. A lot of people might say, well, Cynthia's intuitive, Linda's intuitive. Oh, I can't be as intuitive or capable as they are. And I want to just say, wrong. Um, I used to do that to myself, like, oh, I wish I knew as much as this teacher on the stage or whoever it might be. And that's just frankly not the case. So please don't do that to yourself.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. We all have an inner guidance system, every single one of us. And I love that you said that we all have guides and guardian angels or whatever you choose to call them. And the thing is that they're always available, but you have to ask. You have to invite them in
Yeah.
so that you can get what they're giving. So I want to know, how do people find you and your courses and all the wonderful things you're doing in the world?
Easiest way is my website. So the web address is www dot, this is all run together, Raven like the bird, Raven, Raven, heart like the heart in our chest, ravenheartcenter.com is how people find me and find what I do and my books and courses and that sort of thing.
Ravenheartcenter.com. Dr. Linda Backman. So here's my last question. I ask every guest the same last question. What is the one thing you want women to know about the importance of their awakening?
I thought about that because I sort of knew, Cynthia, you were going to ask that. And there's such a theme. Um, so often when I'm guiding, it's often a female client. Now, obviously, probably people know if we're a woman of today, we've almost for sure had male lives. So that may seem weird to some women, like, oh my gosh, I've been in a male body, but we have. And I'd say I think that's almost always true. But I find this theme that shows itself over and over and over in regression material, usually with a female client. And that's that female client has been a woman, over the last, well, it doesn't really matter the length of time, but going back in time when women had to marry the person chosen for them, when women I'll say, had to be under the thumb of the man they're married to, or the thumb of their father. Um, and and that's the theme that needs to be, open up the window and throw it out the window. So simply put, I would say to women, think big, not small. Don't think small, and think about, we are gradually making progress where women are doing all kinds of work, and women are leading countries. And in the United States, we have a not only a woman as vice president, but we have a woman of color as vice president. Think big, not small.
Love it. Ladies, write that down. Think big, not small. Linda, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for all the beautiful things that you are doing on the planet to help awaken humanity. I'm so grateful to be in your world.
Cynthia, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to share this time with you. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. So, ladies, we do these once a week. So I invite you to come back, please subscribe. You can go to Spotify or Amazon or Spreaker or any place you can get podcasts, and we're there, and meet these women and let them inspire you. Let them, be a spark for you to remember who you are, because you are magnificent. You are powerful. You are dynamic. You are here for a divine purpose. Make no mistake about it. You are a masterpiece in the making. So know that I hold that for you. I hold your awakening, because the world is waiting for you. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.